Welcome to the Midweek message. We're taking some lessons from the book of Ruth, and we're reading today in Ruth chapter 2, verses 14 through 16, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation of the Bible. Ruth chapter 2 and verse 14. At mealtime, Boaz called to her, "Come over here and help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread in the sour wine." So she sat with his harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all she wanted and still had some left over. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, "Let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her, and pull out some heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her a hard time." And that's Ruth 2, verses 14 through 16. We're going to look at those verses individually. What's going on is Ruth is gleaning in the field of a man by the name of Boaz as a poor woman trying to provide a living for herself and her mother-in-law, Naomi. And this was something that was permitted by Jewish law, and the poor people were to be able to glean in certain areas of the fields of the better off, the more wealthy. Boaz observed what she was doing. He observed that she was a good worker and spoke to her kindly and said, "You're trusting in God, and it's known in the area that you are helping your mother-in-law, and God bless you for that." Well, when mealtime came, verse 14, at mealtime Boaz called to her, "Come over here and help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread in the sour wine." So she sat with his harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all she wanted and still had some left over. So she worked all day, and when the mealtime came, this wasn't the last meal of the day because she worked even after this, but when mealtime came, she'd been working all day. Boaz said, "Come over here and eat with us." And he's got a good impression of her. He said, "You'll be able to have bread with us. You can sop it up the sour wine with it." And she sat with his workers, and he gave her some food to eat, and she had all she wanted and had more left. God was providing for her through this means. God often provides for us through our work. That's a part of his plan for us. Verse 15, when Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, "Let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her." And so now Boaz is showing a further kindness to her. She's gleaning around the edges of a field, and Boaz says to his workers, he says, "Let her go out into the main part of the field. Let her gather grain there. Let her go beyond what is required or what is allowed in the law. Let her go out in the main part of the field where the good grain is, and let her gather there too." And then he says, and this is verse 16, "And pull out some heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her a hard time." Boaz says, "By the way, fellas, you're gathering the barley. You're getting the better part. You're getting the most of it. Pull out some of what you have gathered from the bundles that you have made and drop it for her so that she can pick it up. And let her do it. Don't give her a hard time." The King James Version says, "Drop some handfuls on purpose." That's what happens in our lives when we are true to our God, to our friends, to our family, to our vows, and we work hard and we are industrious. God, in ways that we may not have envisioned, drops handfuls of profit in various ways on purpose for us to gather.